All right then. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, all of you mayoral types. My name is Josh, and welcome back to another episode of Dead Man Streaming. All right, a couple of quick things of note. It is for me a Tuesday morning, so I'm going to be drinking some lovely caffeine as I try to get some things done today. And I just came back from a 4-day workcation out in beautiful Beckley, West Virginia. So you'll have to forgive me because I'm still really freaking tired. Uh, but I wanted to go ahead and get another one of these videos done. When is this going to make it to YouTube? When are you going to see this? I honestly have no idea. I want to get a few more videos done before I start putting them down the pipe. So, speaking of pipes, turn this on and I noticed a problem. A couple of our buildings are having sewage backup, which is bad for reasons I think should go without saying. And I've sourced the problem over here to our water treatment plant, as one would assume. Anyways, sewage facility overloaded. Efficiency 57%. Why? Because the garbage is piling up. Why? Because even though we do have enough trash processing ability, apparently we don't have enough trucks. That's the only thing I can think of. And the trucks that we do have decided that maybe raw sewage is a little too much even for them. So, despite their desire to not want to recycle all that beautiful human fertilizer that we are generating on a daily basis, um, we're, you know, kind of up a creek and into a drainage pipe. And if we happen to see four Ninja Turtles running around here, we got problems. So let's go ahead and do something about this. This time, instead of one of the smaller Japanese recycling centers, which are about half a footprint a yay big, I'm going to start this off by putting in one of the game's default recycling centers. Uh, no incineration plant or landfill right now if I can get away with it. The incineration plant has a big bonus. I mean, it annihilates trash. I love it. It works wonderful. It just generates a lot of pollution. I don't feel like dealing with it. And while it will generate some power, it's not going to help us out in the long run. If and when I play Skylines on the more vanilla, not unlocked all, my usual progression is to just outright ignore landfills, do a recycling center, or get a loan and get an incineration plant as soon as garbage becomes a problem. Usually the payoff from the incineration plant goes a long way. Or I build a landfill and let it store up trash and then put a recycling center down, empty the landfill into the incinerator. But that's neither here nor there. We aren't held by such constraints. Unfortunately, we also do not have a good place for this. We're obviously not putting it down here in the middle of Cooper Bluff. We've already got an industrial sector over here that, respectfully to myself, is a little bit on the overloaded side. So let's just go ahead. And I know that I'm going to want to have, garbage service over here as well. So I think this over here next to this interchange and that long service road will help us go a long way. This will also put it on track to easily get over here to the cargo freight station to get things moved out of the city if they need to be. So we're using a free placement tool. Actually, no, we're not. I take that back. We'll go ahead and just use a 2-lane. This doesn't have to be anything special. We're going to bring it all the way down. Not quite at 90, but well, let's see. I'm not going to leave that connected there. It'll be fine just coming off of that. Let me go ahead and preemptively get rid of all that. Just a stop sign should be fine. Don't even need that lane right there. Easily get away with an alley here as well. Just going for the 2-lane road just because habit. All right, so let's put this thing down and then we're going to upgrade it. Probably also going to have to move it. It is a, yeah. All right, so really quick, if you're not familiar, you can increase the number of garbage trucks this thing has. It puts it on its own footprint. Then you have the hazardous waste collection points. These are awkward, these are big, but they increase the speed of which the plant will operate. Oh, that last one doesn't like being right there. Rude. Now, they can be moved off footprint if you need them to. Oh, they can be off. Oh, that's new. Huh. All right, so I'm going to move this a couple of different times. I'm going to move all of these. You'll have to forgive me for a second. I didn't realize I could have them off footprint. And that was my bad. So, in order to do what I think I want to do to make this look the best we can, yeah, I'm not awake enough for this yet. Uh, this is going to cost us a stupid amount of money fixing this. But we're actually making a significant amount, so I'll live with it. Shouldn't need more than 3 right now, I wouldn't think. And the other building we can add is a storage extension, which also apparently can be off footprint. So let me just go ahead and swing out this alley even further. Put that 2 lane there, connect it all the way down. And then what I'm going to do, I shouldn't be in any situation to regret this. We'll just connect this 2 lane. We'll set it as a one-way road. Go ahead and do the smart thing. I'd almost like to turn this into a and into just a basic two-way road right here, but I figured this may be smarter in the long run. And right there, I'm just fixing our lane maths up a little bit. Okay. Now that, well, actually, not on that side. Leave that as 3. And that's off right there. Should we go ahead and convert that into a 3 lane? No? Okay. There, that's going to look a lot better. Yeah, I think our math works there. All right, so let me just go ahead and set the operating district. Now, I just want this servicing Cooper Bluff, which in theory should now take the pressure off of that sewage plant. So we'll let this play out for about 2 minutes real time and see if this gets fixed. If it does not, We'll go ahead and just put down an extra water treatment plant to see what happens. All right. While that does that thing, by the way, sewage is like the most important thing to stay up on this game. I don't care what else, because the minute that you start getting backed up sewage, you start getting sick citizens. As soon as you start getting sick citizens, you start getting death waves. And it's a good way to destroy your city within a matter of minutes. So, this is the kind of thing I take really, really seriously. And I wish there was a way for me right now to be like, hey, you guys, go to work. But they're not. And maybe it's part of the way this road network is over here. So I'll put in a one-way alley. Rid of that mess right there. See if that encourages a recycling truck to come this way. And we've still got some pretty awful traffic congestion down here. Of people coming into Cooper Bluff and hitting some of these intersections down here as they populate the new subcity. Um, I don't honestly think there's a ton we can do. I don't want to link this in over here. I don't want to have a lot of through traffic coming through the neighborhood. I really do want to force it to come in, hit this roundabout, and move on. It's just, there's a downside to doing that. And right now we are sort of seeing it as people are getting in and out of these large offices. We don't have any apartments here, which is good, but we do have people leaving work. And that is one of the reasons why you don't always want to put your largest buildings on a directly facing a main artery. I mean, it's a thing that you'll see in real life, but you also see traffic congestion in real life too. So I'm just gonna try to ignore this right now, and we'll kind of hope for the best later. Because I think that's literally all that's stopping them right here. So they do have a stop sign right up there, but people are coming in and out of that building. So, all right, something to keep a watch on. Um, we did put in this bypass right over here. And where's the next closest? We could put in another bypass right here. That might encourage people to come and split down off of this. This is already a 3-lane right there coming in. Mm, I'm not overly inclined to, but it might be for the best in the long run. And I'll tell you what, instead of a 1-lane off ramp, we'll make that a 2-lane. We'll also go ahead. Okay. That's not going to be perfect. We're going to see if it helps alleviate traffic congestion later. All right. Give it some time. And sewage is no longer backing up, so I'm assuming that means that our plant is working back at high efficiency. Okay, so that extra garbage solved our problem. Perfect. That's really all I cared about in that direction. All right, speaking of things that I care about, this has annoyed me since we started. Our lack of food production because of our lack of farmable areas. It's significantly worse than anything else. We are in a deficit of 43, almost 44 tons a month. It's only going to get worse. And the good news is that's really about the only thing we have a deficit in, that and chemicals. But we can't do anything about chemicals till we figure out a solution to our oil problem. And as a reminder, our oil is largely up here and over here. There is some all the way in the back in that farmable land area. But we can go ahead and fix the farmable land. If you take a fast look, we have a lot of arable land right up through here, 4 tiles, easy to get to, close to the existing road network, close to the industrial area. Wouldn't be the worst rural, hey, let's put a small city, let's, build some stuff place. And that was one of the things that I did want to focus on with this particular development. With that said, though, I do want to come down here and finish up what we started in Cooper Bluff yesterday, or last time, with adding a small, suburban area down through here that's focused on light housing like we have up here on this side. But don't really want to do that until somehow this traffic clears up. So one thing at a time, shall we? Okay. All right. So where do we want to build all this in? How do we want to connect all this? Um, hadn't really planned on buying that many tiles, but okay. I think if we just go ahead and snap those 2 tiles up, slight cost, and we already have this connection right here. It would be nice to buy up this tile as well, but we don't really need it. Oh, who cares? We have tiles to buy. Let's go ahead and buy it. All right. Now I'm not constrained by the rules of the man. What I am constrained by is the lack of caffeine. Bear with me for a second. Mm. Sweet, sweet, low-grade chemical additives. All right. Why don't we take a peek? Wow, they're coming in from that side too. Pretty heavy. Nice. Very nice. Sort of nice. A little slow getting out of that roundabout. Huh. All right. Don't care. Not my problem. Not right now. Let's put the game speed up to 3 so we can get some light up in this. And look and see how we can go about connecting a farming community up here. I would say down here would be a decent start. So we're using continuous road tools because I've driven past and through so many janky little connections that would look like this. Country roads take me home to the place where nobody does the speed limit on a 2-lane road. Follow that up through there. What's my... I haven't violated any things it looks like. I genuinely went through an intersection that looked so much like this, or I could not have done that curve if I had tried. Wow. Anyways, I genuinely drove through an intersection that looked like this earlier this weekend. Not kidding. So Beckley, West Virginia, it's a really nice place to visit. Um, it was so weird. I literally drove from one side of the town to the next in 10 minutes. Like it is a town that is built in one direction, but I went down the steepest freaking hill. My partner was driving, and we went to some Chinese restaurant off the interstate, and it had the hardest slope I could ever possibly imagine. And I was telling her, I said, as soon as I went home, I was going home and changing all of my slope grades to about like 2%. Um, it was one of those roads where you look at it, and if you weren't religious before you got to it, you were religious by the time you got down it. And yeah, yeah, I uh, I said some things coming down off that hill. None of them I can repeat on this stream. I have been more scared for my life in other places, other times, other locations, but not many. All right, let's get this fixed. Drop, go up to 10, drop down to 7.5. Worried about this grade. And there, I think, yeah, we've got a nice little side road off to a farming community. Only thing I'd almost like to do different is change this into a 4-lane road. Um, but I guess it's really going to depend on how much use I expect it to get. What I think I'll do is run a 4-lane connection. Can there please be light so I can see what I'm building? And Kent Street's going to become the new main street for whatever goes up over here. All right, and that's going to be a new district. Welcome to Hawthorne Glen. Go ahead and tell it to work both Cooper Bluff and Hawthorne Glen, because Hawthorne is not going to produce a whole lot of trash. Shouldn't produce a whole lot of trash. We can come in if we want to make an effort on that and go to, let's see. Could turn this into a gated community. Only people living or working within the district are allowed in. I'm going to go ahead and do that. That might be interesting. Let's see. We don't want to do a heavy traffic ban. Do you want to encourage recycling? Don't really care about the rest. Okay, so it's only being served by a recycling center right now. We'll get some other city services installed in a minute. Okay, so that traffic cleared up. All right, so far so good. People's happiness, doing pretty solid. Okay, so up here, we're starting from scratch with a brand new mini village. So we got to put down all of our usual stuff. Let's look for a decent signature building or so. Of all of our choices. Go with the pop musicians. Oh. We'll go with whatever fits on that corner. Okay. We have a small pop musician's mansion right up here. Yay. The Fields family. James and Oliver Fields. Well, welcome you, theater addicts. All right, we got that done. Let's. What sort of buildings do we want up here? Um, what are my low density choices? Just as a reminder. Okay, we can do Eastern European. I think that'll be fine. Because I'm saving our I'm saving our Chinese villages for later. Okay, so let's go with Eastern European. We need Eastern European police station. All right, and then we're just going to sort of make a quick little grid off of this. Nothing too spectacular. Just use our straight tools. Sometimes it's a lot easier to go through an intersection rather than to line it up at the intersection if you're trying to get, 180 or whatever your angle is, and then just delete the leftover. Okay, following that blue circle of doom. Same thing over there. And it looks like we've got a pretty substantial grade change right there. So let's follow it as best as we can. Leading out right there. The rest of that's pretty flat, but that's a hilly mountain area. And we're going to need to go ahead and now out back, out in the rural areas, you're not going to find a lot of like pedestrian only roads. And the reason for that is simple. Um, you don't have a lot of traffic, so you don't need to have dedicated pedestrian paths because they're all pedestrian paths because we'll walk anywhere because we don't care. And I would love to say that I'm kidding, but I'm not. I'm genuinely not. We don't care. So it's like, oh hey, this is a road. Hey, guess what? I'm walking in the middle of it. Oh hey, you need to pass? Too bad. Wait your turn. Put your blinker on before you pass me, pal. I'm going into overkill with this, I know. All right, over here, police. We'll use the Eastern European police station. It's small, it's simple, it's going to get the point across. It's going to go up here, right on Kent Street, right flush to Kent Street. We'll do the same thing with fire. That's a big station. All right, so maybe not. Okay, Eastern European Firehouse. There we go. And we're making sure that these guys are just serving Hawthorne Glen. Think we'll need that additional garage module for this. It's already got 4 vehicles. This has got 10. Does this upgrade? Okay, that one doesn't even upgrade, which is fine. Okay, small clinic. It's an awfully big clinic. All right, let's. Let's just go ahead and put in a small, basic, generic medical clinic. A couple blocks down from police and fire. It's fine. Then moving on from there, let's go over to administrative. Let's put in a community kindergarten. And we'll put that over here, down there. We'll go ahead and put in a welfare office as well. Fill that in. Okay, finally, Parks and Rec. So I think just really a football field. Out towards the back, out towards the rail station. Well, not the rail station, but out towards the rail line will be pretty sufficient. And then let's look for a small plaza. Nothing urban at all. So I say plaza because a lot of the small towns I visited, they always have, some little small dedicated park. Well, not always, but a lot of times they have a small little dedicated park, and there's always something in it that's like, dedicated to the founding mayor, dedicated to, so and so family or whatever. Um, and it's just the kind of thing that strikes me as would be present. So slightly away from the town square area, but still pretty good. All right. Eastern European Elementary. Now it's not going to pack in a. That is a tiny school. 100 people? 15. I would go with that 100 if I didn't know this game better. I really would, but I do. And I know that if I put in 100, if I put in a school with a student capacity of 100, it's going to be so overwhelmed it won't even be funny. We're going to pause this because I just want to make sure we get the district set. And we're also just going to put it straight across from the football field. All right, that cannot be upgraded though. It's actually a decent looking school. If you look at these, all these Eastern European buildings are really nice. That's the Chinese daycare center, but just maybe it's where I live. Maybe it's, the history of my town, but these Eastern European buildings feel more at home to me than a lot of the others ones do. All right, now quick peek into a high school. And yeah, I can see that we've got elementary and high school problems. The elementary school's bigger than the high school. That's weird. And there's the larger high school. Again, this area is not going to need us. Doesn't rephrase that. This area should not need a high school of this size in the real world. It should not need a high school with this sort of footprint. In this game, it's going to. This will not get filled over here, but 800 student capacity is going to make a difference. Another thing, real world, is that a city this size that we're building over here may not even necessarily have all these services. Really, really wouldn't. May not have a daycare. May not have a police station directly in it. May just be served by the county sheriff. Um, there, true fact, the place where my mother currently lives does not have a local police station. It is a decently sized rural area. They do not have their own police station. They are served exclusively by the county sheriff. I don't even think there's a county sheriff dispatch in their town. I might be wrong on that one. And by dispatch, I mean station. Okay. But that should take care of all of our services except for death care. Let's go ahead and get that in. How are we doing? Gosh, great. Remember where death care is? I can very easily see a parish church coming in up here. And it would be another thing that would be pretty dead center in the middle of town. Unfortunately, this church does not process a lot of dead bodies. So we're either going to have to come back later, or we're going to have to add a crematorium, or we're going to have to tell one of our existing crematoriums, like this one, that it's going to serve Hawthorne Glen. I think that's going to be the best play right there. All right, so we've done all that. Let's take a look at our Eastern European low density housing. Let's go ahead and unpause the game a little bit. Let's get these buildings in. We're just sort of going to pick and choose. A little bit of low density commercial. And you won't see a lot of office like buildings. Realistically, you'll see a few banks, or one bank, community bank of some kind. So we'll just slip in a couple back and forth through here. I know I just filled in residential right there, but let me replace that with a tree line. All right, now we won't have any apartments back here. This is just going to be a small, simple, little country style village. Now that we've done all that, let's go over here to our specialized industry. Let's take a look at our production. And who are we going to ask to move in here? We are low on vegetables. We are tiny low on cotton and low on wheat. so vegetables and wheat. How low? Didn't think to look. Let's do some math. All right, we need 20 tons a month of wheat and 21 tons of vegetables. Alrighty then. Let's come over here. Production deficit. So when you highlight one of these, they'll actually tell you what your production deficit is when you swing it over. So let's. All right, I want that road facing Wood Street. I want this to cover as much of the area as feasible. Okay. Let's run a gravel road. Now you look as we do this, it's telling us what our harvestable resources are as we expand this farm out. So right now, we have harvestable resources in this area of 321 tons. And that will help significantly since we were only low at 21 tons low on that. So instead of just building that huge farm all the way around and filling this whole area in, we'll go ahead, we'll add a second farm. Let's see, was that grain or vegetable? Okay, vegetable. We were also short on grain. I'm going to be running this right up to Magnolia Street. Speaking of Magnolia Street, if you don't watch him as much as I want you to stay madly fixed and loved on this channel, I do recommend watching City Planner Plays and his Magnolia County videos. They are super informational. They use a lot of, if I recall correctly, he focuses on a lot of mods, stuff that I don't use or do. You're catching me doing vanilla gameplay. The only part of this that's not vanilla is that for this particular build, I decided to go ahead and use unlock all instead of, building it the way they want you to do for a challenge with the vanilla base game. But unlock all is a default setting, so I don't really consider that, breaking my no to low mod rule. That said, modders in City Skylines 1 and 2 both have made this game into something that can be insanely beautiful. I know if I got started playing some of the mods, then I simply wouldn't stop. I know I wouldn't. And I don't want to do that. And I also don't know how well my computer could handle it. Okay. Oh, wait. That edge looks bad. Let's fix that. All right, we have been streaming now for a little bit less than an hour, so you guys might be getting a little tired of me now. Let's pop over to production. This will take a couple minutes to change. But yeah, right there, our trade deficit on vegetables has shrunk down from 20 to 1.7, and I kind of expect that to change a little bit more. So we could put in another farm, we could wait and see how these come up. I'm honestly thinking I'm just going to wait and see how they come up before we do much else. We do have access to more, you know, viable stuff over here, so give us a little time. We have ample demand for low density residential, which is great. Did we get Eastern European row housing by chance? We did not. We did get mixed housing though. And I'm going to go ahead. I know I said no apartments, but I wasn't entirely truthful with myself. We'll slip in a few mixed use commercial residential along this road coming in and out of town. And production says back to a massive deficit on wheat. Wonder why. Huh. All right. Well, again, we'll just give us a little bit of time. But I'm happy with this. Cycling truck, garbage truck. Okay. Now, when you put down a production building, obviously, it's not something that takes place immediately. You don't just drop a farm and suddenly have fruits and vegetables automatically, which is a shame because I planted a bunch of stuff in my garden yesterday. And I'm like, all right, now feed me. Feed me. You're here for a reason. Don't make me wait till fall. Okay, so we've done all that. We've got Hawthorne Glen started, used up all demand for our medium and small residential. Not in a big hurry to come down here and add more high density. We probably will. Uh, let's see what we'll be using for high density down here. I really wish I could read that. I wish I could read that. Let me rephrase that. I think it's Northeast USA. It's what I get for not reviewing my video before starting the next one. Go ahead and drop in a few more apartment complexes down this way. Okay, now I'm taking a drink of actual water. Remember, actual water. It's wet and it's water. Ugh. And it's tasteless. It's not caffeine. Okay, While we have all that going on, we've got this wonderful city exit over here and no connection to it. And it's bugged me since the game has started. Um, we can fix that. We're going to fix that. We're going to fix that right now. Is that the only one like that? Yeah. All right. That's worth $1,000,003. Okay, go ahead and snap that up. Take a look. We'll save our game. I haven't done that in a while, if at all. Okay, let's take a quick look see. Now, knowing what I know about our plans for this area, to turn this into a pretty heavy transit hub, bustling downtown with a lot of high density office and high density residential, this is going to have to be a pretty substantial interchange. Um, a diverging diamond on its own is not going to cut it. Neither will something like a dumbbell interchange. Um, partial cloverleaf actually would do pretty well here. I'm not going to lie to you. However, we are constrained by room here with where this is. What I think I'm probably going to have to do is make a mess out of all of this. Other option would be to, yeah, that's way too big. Way too big. We'd have to rotate it that way. Yeah, no. And if that's too big, the four level stack interchanges would be nuts. The SPI just would not handle the traffic load. It's going to have to be. We can either put in a partial cloverleaf or we can do this T style intersection right here and have traffic splits coming up off of this area right up here and another one lower down. And that just, it feels like a terrible idea to me. So I hate trumpet roundabouts. What would work probably maybe a little bit easier would be one of these. Just drop this right here. We wouldn't have anything coming off the back of it. Um, which means we would be forced to put in a different type of intersection somewhere around here. I'm actually half tempted to sort of buy these all out and loop the highway out a little bit further, but I don't think that's going to be as viable as I want it to be. Okay, let's get creative. Because what's the point of having money and power if we're not willing to use it? Specifically to better the lives of the people around us. Ahem. Why, yes, I do run a charity. Oh, bird. I have no idea if those power lines are connected to anything, so we'll have to come back and replace them in a few. Okay, so this is how we are going to start. Toggling parallel mode. Okay, so now let me just go ahead and reconnect those power lines because I want to build up our bank account pretty significantly. And I can't do that while the game is paused. All right, that's pretty tacky, but as far as the power lines go, so we'll have to fix that in a few. Okay. Now that's allowing a left turn there. Let's not. All right, that's not pretty. That's not how I want it to be. That's not how it's going to stay, but it's how it's going to be for right this second. And that doesn't actually need to be a 2. Okay, now we have another outside connection, and already trucks are going to come right in. Trucks and cars and vehicles. Wonderful. All right, new highway connection established. Bonus. Okay, we're looking good. Now, storyline wise, the district mayor looked upon what he had done, and it was good. And that stretch hurt his shoulders. All right. So, Hawthorne Glen, how many people have moved in here? Uh, 1,300 people. Not bad for a small little farming community. And about 1,000 some odd employees through here somehow. Cool. All right, not many up here. And we'll wait and see how those industrial zones develop. Let's look at our production. Okay, wheat is stored as stabilizing. Vegetables, we are now producing a surplus. Beautiful. All right, well, if we are still in a deficit on wheat, let's go ahead and work that up. With an additional farm right up here. Just leave that as that. Okay. I'd like to come back later when I have some more free time and some more patience and come in. I want to decorate up some of this area. Decoration on the super tiny scale is not something I'm very good at, but it's something I'll give it a try to, just for the sake of, you know, giving it a try, I suppose, for lack of better words. Um, Now that all of these have developed, we're going to run a simple gravel path through behind them. And we're going to select our brush tool, tree, do our best to fill in. little bit of greenery in some of these back spaces. Although this time of year it's more brownery, but that's okay. It'll look green later in the game. Just adding some allergens back through here. Okay. Makes it look a little bit better, a little less empty. All right, then. So, our intrepid district manager has looked upon this area. He is incredibly happy that we have managed to expand out and absorb the farming community of Hawthorne Glen. That's going to drastically decrease the import costs of goods coming into the city, which will decrease the difficulty will be to level up some of our commercial and industrial buildings, and then going on from there, make it easier and happier for residents to gain wealth, which is perfect. We also solved a garbage collection problem, and we finally have a new outside connection to wherever this outside connection leads us, and that's going to be Montgomery Village. And we've got a small amount of truck and other traffic coming in through here, which is always a good thing. The more connections you have, the better off your city will always be. You want to connect to the outside world at large, not ignore it. One thing, though, he did notice is that our college is complaining that it is overwhelmed, that it's got a lot more people than it has capacity for. So, the obvious solution is to come down over here around the technical university and some of the other schools and take a look and see what can fit in pretty well. So, we are looking at colleges. High schools, secondary schools, and universities. I would say that the modern community college, which doesn't have the biggest footprint, would reasonably fit in somewhere down here. And I mean, this is a whole education campus area. I just can't remember. Can be upgraded with an extension wing, dormitory, and sports field. All right, so we all know that sports fields take up a lot of room. Let's see if we can't. We slip it down here down the road from the technical college and up the road from the um, city service right there. It's, I don't know how hard it'll stick out, but the other option is if we stick it down a little bit over here, we'd have a lot more room to play with. Even though it would be on the other side of that water pumping station and near the factory, I think it would actually fit in pretty decently. So I'll drop it there, and we're going to take a look. Okay, extension wing, that will add an additional 1,000 student capacity. Builds in right there. A dorm, which does not have to be attached. And a sports field that also does not have to be attached. Okay, well, I think we can have some fun with this because we've got a lot of room to play around. In this case, we're going to use the pedestrian streets. Make sure we are using straight road tool on this. Let's go ahead and have that connect to everything. But because that is our busiest road, let's go over here, get rid of one of those, and change that to a stop. Oh, I never connected that path, huh? There we go. $4 well spent. Okay. Now come back down here. The sports field could fit right there. That just is just a hair too much for what I wanted to put there. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. Wow. So awful. All right. Thank you, Kane, for completely refusing to do symmetrical behavior right here. I appreciate it so not much. Okay, so where's our closest tram exit? I have he wonders quietly to himself because he loves creating more work. One there, none there. All right, let's. Just making some snazzy roadway adjustments on the fly. And park adjustments. And then we'll be mad when this doesn't work. Okay, and then finally, add 2 tram stops right there, just to encourage walkability through the city. Actually, will that move? Yeah, we can set that there. Go ahead and put another one down. Cannot fit one right there. Okay, that's fine. Can do though is put in some row housing. Actually, what we can do is put in a row housing signature building. Sort of be like a fraternity chapter house right there. Let's take a look at our row housing. Strange with no medium density demand whatsoever. All right, well, when the medium density demand pops back up, they'll have places to live, so that'll be good. Let's continue along our voyage over here, because joyage is definitely a word. Connect there. Another walking path that'll connect. It's a little too low for me. And then right down through here, we'll just put in some. Use this not overly awesome low density waterfront housing for some of this back here. Not that. But in with more medium density row housing. All right. Let the good times roll. And this goes a long way to solving our college problem. Does nothing to solve the traffic problem right through here. What in... Why do we have a traffic problem right through here? It's not that big. That many people moving up into Hawthorne Glen. All right, well, let's convert that into a 4-lane road. Leading up to that intersection. Should take care of that. Now I'm having a surplus of wheat, but not of vegetables. Well, can't solve them all, but we did solve a good chunk of it. Ooh. Oh, somebody had a bad day. I'm looking at my roadways. No, they're complaining of noise pollution, but they're just going to have to live with it. Like, you're by a college campus. Sorry, there's noise. Okay, do we have any police coverage down this way? It doesn't really look like it. Oh, wait. We do. Never mind. I was wrong. Okay. Well, surprisingly limited coverage up there. All right, well, let's fix that. Got enough money. We can make the change. Just out of curiosity, are we seeing any interest in that tram stop up here? Yeah, we are. We're seeing a good bit of travel on it. Good. Good to know. All right, well, everybody, we have built quite a lot. We've made some pretty significant changes and upgrades to a large chunk of a city. Established a college campus, established another signature building over here. We've worked heavily on our production issues. we've pretty aggressively expanded our zonable population, and we added a new highway connection. We tried to solve some of our traffic conundrums. We added an additional recycling plant. We've done a lot in one setting, and I'm kind of proud of it. We do have more traffic jams up through here. I mean, it's entirely possible we'll have to tear this roundabout out and replace it with a larger intersection. I really don't want to. Um, I think once we build up this area, the traffic jams done here are going to largely go away or become at least manageable. And there's one more thing that we can do, and I think that we should probably go ahead, bite the bullet, and handle next episode. And it's basically going to be the whole video. I can already tell, and that's going to be extending this interchange all the way out and over. We do have vehicle traffic coming up through here. It is not a lot of vehicle traffic, but it is enough. And if we want to take some of the congestion off of this stretch of highway, it would not be a bad idea to go ahead and link this with our Grand Bridge. Or I think I determined that the Golden Gate was going to be the best because I played around with this. Let's see. Yeah, Golden Gate Bridge is going to be our best upgrade path through here. That's going to connect both sides of the bay and at the right height will allow us to build in a harbor. Because right now, the district manager's looking to the immediate future, and that is improving our transportation network and getting our capital city built up through here in ways that are going to make significant differences for everybody living in Imini Bay. But that's another day. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Josh. Thank you so very, very, and I do mean very much for spending your morning with me today. I hope you had fun. I hope this was enlightening. I hope this gave you some ideas of ways to build up your city and some industrial areas, or just generally a way to have some fun or something to listen to in the background as you do whatever it is you do. All right. Until then, I will see you guys later with our next step in lovely, beautiful, wonderful Imini Bay. Until then, have a great night. Give me that like, give me that follow, and subscribe. Bye for now.